New York's economy is massive, with a gross metropolitan product of $1.9 trillion. That's bigger than the economics of all but 9 countries, roughly equal to Canada's. Interestingly, it's even bigger than the total economy of New York State. How is that possible? Well, it's worth looking into. When you think about the scale of New York, it starts to make sense. This city is the financial heart of the world, situated in a country that leads in global trade, politics, and military strength. Just a few buildings here manage trillions of dollars, fueling some of the most valuable companies in history. Companies like Apple and Microsoft are now worth more than all the public companies in major economies like Australia. But New York isn't just about finance. It's rapidly becoming a tech hub, competing with places like Seattle and San Francisco. It's also a powerhouse in film, media, tourism, and surprisingly, even manufacturing. New York is a city that's more than just its components, growing from a Dutch trading port to the epicenter of global finance. This transformation offers insights not only into the economic development of the United States, but potentially its future as well. Megacities like New York have been pivotal in driving global economic growth over the past century. However, they also face significant challenges, some of which are becoming more evident in New York, the city that in many ways started it all. So what makes New York such an economic powerhouse? What does it tell us about the broader economic successes of the United States, and what are the key economic challenges New York needs to address in the near future? Let's find out. One major issue in New York City is the high cost of living. It's so expensive that people often work incredibly long hours just to afford their rent. This pressure can lead to a life that feels out of balance, with people becoming emotionally and physically exhausted from constantly being on the go. The modern city of New York began to take shape after the new United States pushed out British forces at the end of the American Revolutionary War in 1783. At that time, the city was already well established, serving as a central base for British forces and the last stronghold before they withdrew from the war. Even before this, the region was a hotly contested prize, changing hands between the British and the Dutch. New York's geography is a trader's dream. The city boasts a natural harbor that's shielded from the ocean, yet deep enough for transatlantic ships. This is a huge benefit not just for New York, but for the entire east coast of the USA, which has several such harbors. This natural advantage stands in stark contrast to countries that must construct deep-water ports from scratch or lack them entirely. Even today, although other industries have taken the spotlight, New York remains a major maritime player. It houses the 4th largest shipping port in the USA, almost twice the size of any West Coast port, which mainly handles trade with China. Interestingly, the only U.S. ports larger than New York's are those around the Mississippi River and the Gulf of Mexico. The Mississippi River is a powerhouse of production, with goods being transported cheaply up and down the river. These ports link the interior industries to the global market, allowing for the efficient export of finished products. New York benefits similarly on a smaller scale from its connection to the Hudson River, which links through canals to the Great Lakes. Transporting goods via these waterways is incredibly cost-effective. Riverboats are less expensive to operate than seafaring vessels and can be cheaper than using trucks, trains, or even competing with ocean-bound container ships. Moreover, this infrastructure is already in place, providing a clear cost advantage over new projects that could run into billions of dollars to construct. Rivers offer much more than just a means of transportation. They are vital for sanitation, irrigation, and even food sources. This is a common feature among other economic giants such as China, where 40% of the economy revolves around just one river, the Yangtze. In New York, the port's role has evolved. Today, it is less about balanced trade and more about importing goods to satisfy the high demands of the city's affluent population. This is particularly remarkable given that it remains one of the world's largest trading ports. Focusing on the economy of New York, it's impossible not to highlight finance. The city hosts thousands of financial entities, largely because it's the base for two major stock exchanges, the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange. Although most of their operations are now digital, it's this financial activity that has transformed New York from a strategic port into a global financial hub. This transformation has also propelled the United States from a country brimming with potential to the leading economic superpower for nearly a century. At first glance, it might seem like these exchanges merely shuffle paper ownership of companies. While there is a lot of that, it serves a crucial purpose. The stock market functions as any other market would, connecting buyers and selling in an efficient, though not a perfect system. It remains the best mechanism to have for linking producers or asset holders looking to sell with those who are ready and able to buy. A market in any form is essentially a means for people to use currency to express their preferences for certain products. Take a simple example. In a vegetable market, if everyone buys carrots and ignores potatoes, farmers will notice the trend. They'll shift their resources away from growing potatoes and focus on carrots, which are in higher demand. This basic concept shows the feedback mechanism of a free market, enabling the production of millions of goods and services with a reasonable assurance that these will be valued. This is particularly crucial in the capital market. Stock markets function as a venue where companies can sell shares, small portions of ownership, in exchange for capital. This capital is then used to purchase more resources, land, labor, and capital to enhance their production. Just as shoppers in a market choose between pears and apples, investors in the stock market select companies they believe will yield the best returns. However, stock markets aren't unique to New York or USA. There are hundreds of stock exchanges worldwide where investors can buy shares directly from companies or through secondary markets. Interestingly, New York wasn't even the pioneer in these fields. That honor goes to the Netherlands. The Dutch East India Company sold shares to the public on the Amsterdam Stock Exchange to fund their colonial activities long before permanent European settlements were established in North America. It took another 170 years for the New York Stock Exchange to officially open, but over that period it became central to the economic success of the USA, illustrating the intertwined growth of finance and national prosperity. The New York Stock Exchange and later the NASDAQ became the largest stock exchanges in the world because they host the biggest publicly traded companies. These exchanges can list such major players because they operate within the world's largest economy. A significant reason this economy grows so large is that companies were able to secure the investments needed to expand and dominate globally. While these exchanges and New York itself represent just a part of the broader productivity feedback loop, this role is crucial. Even today, as other advanced economies struggle with innovation and rely heavily on basic industries, the USA continues to fund and develop a range of businesses that are shaping the future in unprecedented ways. Moreover, the USA is an attractive investment destination for global investors. With its large and dominant economy, the USA holds the world's unofficial reserve currency and offers a stable, secure environment for investment, respecting the property rights and maintaining political stability, despite what headlines sometimes suggest. This makes the US, and particularly its major stock exchanges, a logical choice for international investors seeking to place their money outside their home countries. These exchanges offer a convenient way to buy into some of the world's most successful companies. Just as New York has substantially contributed to industrialization across the U.S., trading these shares has similarly benefited the city, turning stock trading into an industry that has greatly supported New York's growth and prosperity. While the numbers of people directly employed by the stock exchanges is relatively small, the indirect impact on employment is massive. Thousands of financial institutions in the region help allocate capital efficiently, supporting millions of jobs indirectly. These range from construction workers building skyscrapers to lawyers negotiating billion-dollar deals and chefs in world-class restaurants. The demand for goods and services from these millions of workers help explain why New York has become one of the world's wealthiest cities. New York's role as a key player across various sectors has cemented its position as a global center for media, journalism, and entertainment, putting it on a par with cities like Los Angeles. Its technology sector is also on the rise, attracting many companies that are at the forefront of industrial innovation. What draws these diverse industries to New York is the economic benefit of closeness. Everything from suppliers to customers to competition is just a stone's throw away. This concept, called agglomeration, means that companies can do everything they need without having to leave the area. For instance, a tech company in New York can easily meet with investors, source parts, handle legal matters, recruit staff, manage its public image, and keep an eye on the competition, all within a short distance. This proximity generally allows such a company to perform better than if it were scattered over various locations. This clustering effect has also given an unexpected boost to manufacturing within the city. This has challenged traditional economic theories, showing that even in an expensive city like New York, manufacturing can thrive when bolstered by the advantage of agglomeration. Manufacturing usually flourishes where the cost of land and labor is low, as this leads to cheaper production costs and more competitively priced products. This is why a lot of manufacturing has moved to Asia. Yet New York defies this trend. Despite its high land costs and some of the highest wages in the world, New York still supports a robust manufacturing sector, which is one of its largest sources of employment. Even though these manufacturing jobs often pay less than the city's average wage, they still offer better pay than similar positions in areas typically known for manufacturing. This situation contributes to certain social challenges as the cost of living in the city continues to climb, putting pressure on workers and the overall affordability of New York. New York's manufacturing sector has managed to flourish in ways that differ from cities like Detroit by not trying to compete in global markets but by concentrating on local demands. This local focus has helped the sector avoid the downturn seen in other manufacturing hubs. This approach is a practical application of economics of scale, where increasing the quantity of production reduces the cost per unit. While economies of scale offer significant advantages, not all consumer needs demand massive quantities. This opens opportunities for small local producers to remain competitive by quickly producing low-volume or bespoke items that meet specific local demands. This niche market is where New York's manufacturing finds its strength, providing specialized, often high-value products tailored to the unique needs of the city's market. Most of what's produced in New York is used right there, which keeps hundreds of thousands of people employed. However, this manufacturing hub faces challenges due to globalization, as international companies that earn billions worldwide set up shop in New York. They squeeze out local manufacturers because of limited space. New York, like Tokyo, is one of the world's most influential cities economically. It's tough to pin down the exact economic output of a place like New York. The city blurs into 3 different states, each with their own way of doing things, and there aren't straightforward numbers like you get for a country from sources like the IMF or World Bank. From the best estimates we have, the wider New York City area, counting all its boroughs and surrounding industrial zones, generates about $1.9 trillion. That's a massive number, making it one of the top cities globally in terms of economic output. Spread across a population of 23.5 million people, this means a GDP per capita of $80,000, which is way above the national average and makes it one of the most productive spots on the planet. The city is known for being stable and confident, making it a magnet for everything from finance to international politics, and it's even home to the United Nations headquarters. Its growth has been steady, closely tied to the ups and downs of the U.S. economy, with a growth rate of nearly 4% over the last decade. That's all we have for you today at Economy Obsession. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. That's exactly what keeps us going. We'll be back soon.